Everyone's just cool, except for the douchebags. Welcome back to Amber Unabridged. Today, I'm going to be talking about a comic series called Locke and Key. I'm going to try to keep this spoiler-free. I'm going to cover some stuff that happens, but I'm not going to go into a lot of the detail or the explanations behind things if I can avoid it, because experiencing it is what makes this series so great. It is awesome. I'm not going to say that you need to read it. That's a lie. That's exactly what I'm saying. So anyway, it's a 6-volume comic series. I'm blocking all my natural light here. By Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that right. So the first is Welcome to Lovecraft, and then Head Games, Crown of Shadows, Keys to the Kingdom, Clockworks, and Alpha and Omega. I love this series. I took my time with it, but I really wanted to devour it, and actually the last volume I read in one sitting because it was intense, to say the least. It's a horror series. So, you know, there's some shit that goes down. But anyway, so the first volume is Welcome to Lovecraft. And I just love the covers for these, by the way. So in this one, it's not really a spoiler because it happens right away. But there's the Locke family is living in California, I think, and the dad of the family, his name's Rendell, he gets murdered by one of the students. He was a guidance counselor in a high school, and he gets murdered by one of his students. And the student's trying to kill the whole family, and they end up getting out of there. But then they move back to his childhood home in Lovecraft, Massachusetts. They're just trying to put their lives back together. And then some shit starts happening. There's a fantastic or magic realistic situation going on with this series. They move into, the name of the house is an old house. I mean, the house on the cover here that you can see, that's the house they move into. You can't see it super great. I wonder if I can do this without any spoilers. Okay, yeah. So here's a decent view of the house that they move into. If you can kind of see that. Key House is what it's called. And just the whole setup of everything is amazing. It's just the layout and the art. I love the art, and the story is so great. Just everything about it. And they start finding these keys that they're magical keys. They unlock different things. Some of them work specifically with that house in certain doors. Some of them work with people. And that's really all I can say without ruining the discovery of what you find with it. It's pretty awesome. The series continues. This is the second volume, Head Games. I love the art so much. And so then you go through the series, you find out that there's a kind of evil presence on the property and near the property. And the 3 children in the family, Tyler, Kinsey, and Bode, Tyler is, I think, 16 or 17 when the series starts. Kinsey's like 15, and Bode's like 6. Oh man, look at this cover! Look at this cover! It's so great. The art is so great. Man, it's so good. Adults can't see the magic. The adults can't really tell what's going on, and they explain that at some point in the series as to why. The kids are like, there's something going on, and they're kind of playing around with these keys, and then they eventually start using them to try to fight this evil situation that's kind of going on. Just look at that. Oh, it's so good. So good. The ninja guy's pretty nifty. One thing I really like about the series is that it tells you kind of how it came to be. It explains a little bit of the history throughout the series. It explains this one has a lot of the backstory, the 5th volume. It explains how Key House came to be what it is, how the keys came into existence, like what the evil is, how to fight it, I guess, or what to do about it. The 6th volume it's such a great ending. And let me tell you, this took me on an emotional roller coaster. It is so good. So they're fighting, you know, for their lives a lot of the time, and kind of trying to figure out what's going on and getting answers, and also just trying to be teenagers, trying to survive the tragedy that they've been through. It's just fantastic. I really appreciate how we get to see some of the history behind the house, behind the keys, behind the magic of like how it all works. There's like it's presented so well. It's done so well. This series has changed my life. I normally don't shy away from spoilers, but I want everybody to read this. Go read this series. Part of what makes it so fantastic is not knowing what you're getting into, and I don't want to spoil anything. I will say that it is concluded. The story is complete. It is solid. They answer all the questions that you ask, probably. And there might be a couple here and there-ish. It does a really good job. It goes into a couple of like backstories and side stories about minor characters, which I thought was pretty neat. It's hilarious. It's got a really strong family dynamic. It explains the important roles of friendship in people's lives and how that can be great and how that can be kind of devastating sometimes. When they talk about Whispering Iron, it's not about golfing. That was lame. It's from IDW Publishing. I am definitely into checking some more stuff out by them. So without spoilers, after Randall gets killed and they move to his childhood home in Massachusetts where his younger brother is living, the kid's Uncle Duncan, they just go through their lives trying to be teenagers. And the mom, Nina, she's trying to cope with some stuff. She's got some alcohol-related issues. I just really appreciated the representation in this series. There is representation for race, there's representation for sexual orientation, and there's representation for somebody who's mentally handicapped. It's diverse, let me just tell you that. I'm gonna have to read everything by Joe Hill now. I do have his short story collection, 20th Century Ghosts. I had not heard of Gabriel Rodriguez before this, but I am definitely going to be checking out some of his other stuff because this art, damn. The story and the art are both just done so fantastically well. In addition to all of that, part of what really draws me to this story in particular is that I'm very attracted to Locke's and Key's aesthetically and conceptually. I actually sort of have like a mini collection of locks and keys, like just like deadbolts and just like padlocks. It's kind of dumb, but just my entire life I've always found them fascinating for some reason. This story plays up all the magical potential that I've always felt were connected to the ability to lock something and keep it hidden, but also being able to unlock it. And it talks about secrets and everything about it I really like. And also all the keys in the book. Not all of them, but most of them are just like gorgeous. Some of them are a little clunky for my personal tastes, but they're fascinating and just like, oh man, I can't talk about this series enough, but I also really can't spoil it. I will say that there is a lot of graphic there is a lot of graphic visuals. It is horror. So if gory scenes upset you or trigger you in any kind of way, any scenes of violence or abuse, then maybe approach with caution. It doesn't pull a lot of punches. It's more explicit in its depiction of violence than it is with depictions of abuse. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up for that. It talks about surviving abuse. It talks about surviving violence. It talks about overcoming all of those things. I thought this series was so well executed. I cannot recommend it enough. It is, without a doubt, one of my favorite series of all time. I'm actually planning a tattoo from this series. I don't know. I guess that's really all I can say without spoiling too much. Any thoughts? Any questions? Any recommendations? Be sure to comment down below. I want to know who's gonna read this. I want to know who will check it out because this series kicks ass. I'm a fan. If you've read it and you want to know what tattoo I'm getting, you can message me via Twitter, or, you know, I think YouTube has a messaging situation, but I honestly don't know how that works. So yeah, keep in touch, let me know what you think. I'll catch you on the flip side.